Hello, lovely people in the Vaxxed world on We Are Vaxxed. This is Tia Severino. I'm your Vaxxed world host for Atlanta, Georgia, and today I'm coming to you from the beautiful Marietta Square on the northwest side of Atlanta, and I have with me a wonderful couple that is going to tell you a story, and I'm actually really proud of this. This is my good friend, chiropractor Dr. Scott Perlman. And if you guys were watching me earlier on my page, you know that we went to Dr. Scott just a little while ago to get an adjustment. Luke, my son, got his first chiropractic adjustment that he's ever had in his whole life, and a big old smile on his face from it. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn around the camera, and you're going to meet Dr. Scott Perlman, and he is going to talk a little bit about what he does and also his daughter's Gardasil injury. So we're going to flip the camera around, and very quickly, hello, Dr. Scott. You want to introduce yourself and your lovely wife?
Sure. I'm Dr. Scott Perlman, practice here in Marietta, Georgia. Probably over the last 17 years. Went to Life University here and ended up staying. The weather's a lot nicer here in the south than it is in the north, even though I do miss New York. But down here 22 years, stayed in practice, met Nancy down here. We got married down here together, and
Luke.
This is my wife, Nancy Perlman, as we tell everybody, Fancy Nancy, because they know Nancy through Facebook, especially with her cancer and what she's done for herself over the past few years, alternatively without the chemo and radiation. And we help a lot of people, coaching and stuff like that and so forth with cancer, is how they know Nancy and I. I guess tonight, we're here really to talk about a little bit of that, but also mainly the reaction of one of my daughters. I have 3 girls. There's Alexa, Julia, and Sophia. And without getting too much into it, I've had joint custody of my girls for the majority of the years. And there was a short period where Mom had taken off with both my girls, and I didn't see them for around 2-3 years. Before that, they were non-vaccinated, no vaccines, all organic. I've been organic nut for over 25 years or so plus in my life. And that's how I raised the girls. I get them back, and I see there's been a big change, big change. Finding out that both girls have been inoculated heavily. Mom knows how I feel about that, which a lot of parents and families go through that. But more importantly than any of that is now I need to find out what's going on, what's happening, because my middle one, I find out behind my back, was given Gardasil, not once, not twice, but all 3 shots.
Wow.
And it wasn't until a year later that Julia started feeling some of these reactions. And it was causing a lot of friction in the house because I wasn't really getting it right away until I started talking to some other folks, and then it hit me. And I'm saying, listen, I am anti-vax. I don't like the vaccines. I hate them. And particularly because I know there's no science.
Right.
I hate that. That's the bigger part that I hate more than anything else.
Right.
So I got into talking and thinking, and all of a sudden I start researching. And I've been researching this drug for quite a long time. When I was doing radio even back in the day here in Atlanta, I warned parents that this was coming. Don't do it. It's never tested on children. It's only tested on like 880 women. Never on girls, never mind boys, no less. And now they're trying to prove this drug for newborns, which is insane. Nuts. We won't get into all that, but it's like, so I'm saying I got to start digging more. And in digging, I'm finding all these side effects and things.
No, baby, we're doing a video.
I'm finding all these reactions that are going on with these kids. Look, what I ended up doing is getting in touch with some of the doctors and finding out from them what their experiences were. And I stumped onto Julia's medical record in doing all that.
Okay.
And I find that she's had all 3 shots. Well, then right away, I'm putting it together. And I started looking up the side effects. And then my daughter, I'm educating my daughter, because at this point, she was 14, she's now 16, and she's starting to look online. I'm looking online, and we're talking about from bone pain, to joint pain, to skull pain, to muscle pain, to fatigue, quadriplegic, hemiplegic, death. I mean, what's going on with these girls? Tumors in their mouth and in their jaws and in gum lines. You name it.
So let's go back. Let's go back for just a minute. We've got a bunch of people that have just jumped on. And just to kind of get everybody caught up here, this is Dr. Scott Perlman, who's a chiropractor here in the beautiful city of Marietta. And this is his wife, Nancy, also known as Fancy Nancy. And Scott's 3 daughters were with his previous wife. Now tell me
Two
what...
daughters.
2 daughters. Okay, so you have
wife.
3 daughters, 2 of them with
in
your...
New York,
and
2 are from here in Georgia.
And before you, let's go back in time. Before you got married to the mother of your daughters that we're speaking about, Luke, you need to stop that right now. Okay? Go play on the train. You see the train over there? You see that train over there? Go play on the train, okay?
Let's go.
We're here at the park in the downtown square in Marietta.
Square.
And let's go back in time to when you first were married to the mother of your daughters that we're speaking about. Were you anti-vaccine at that time?
Actually, a year before I graduated, I collected a ton, and I'm talking 6 inches deep in a spiral of stuff on MMRs, DTaP, polio. With all that research a year before I graduated, actually, she helped me compile it. She's a NICU nurse.
She knew.
She's a NICU nurse.
She was aware of your position on the vaccine issue.
She was the one actually who signed all the paperwork with the schools. No vaccines for the children. We don't believe in the tainted blood of God and blah, blah, blah. Religious exemption.
So it's kind of similar to that situation that just happened in Michigan where the parents were at an agreement and then you separated, divorced, and then
ugliness starts going on and they're not thinking of the kid and the kid ends up paying the price.
And you didn't even have a say in whether or not these vaccines were considered, much less administered, because
when she gave them, she did it behind my back and I had no knowledge whatsoever. None.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got medical record after court and all this other business that I found these shots were being given to my daughters.
Okay.
And she actually lied to Julia about what was being given to her.
That's catching up to the Gardasil situation.
Okay.
But before that, what we're talking about.
So she was
at
getting
this
them
time,
caught up, and then she went and got the vaccine, the Gardasil vaccine.
The Gardasil came after she took off, and I had no contact with my girls for almost 3 years. And then I got them back here. She moves back here on visitation, and she inoculates Julia. She lied to Julia what she was getting.
Right.
And then I found on medical record, which a lot of parents can look at on their children online, they show you what drugs and meds and vaccines that have been given. When I pulled that record, that's when I saw Gardasil.
Right. Wow.
My daughters tell me everything.
Right.
Now I knew
So
about
she
shots.
didn't know.
I knew about shots, but she had no idea. I didn't know until I actually got online and found online that the Gardasil was given. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
Well, then now I'm putting everything together. What's going on with Julia today?
So how is she doing now? What are the symptoms that she is?
Well, I can tell you in the past 2 months, and I will tell you her symptoms, but I've had her at the cardiologist, I've had her at the neurologist, I've had her at the urologist.
Oh my goodness.
I've had her at the OBGYN. I had her at the MRI center taking brain scans of her brain, MRIs of her brain. She's getting ready. She just finished up a visit with the OB. Now she's going back this week to take ultrasound of her ovaries. And then I got to take her to a gastrologist and a rheumatologist because I want the certain testing done on her so then I know what I can do with her with alternative world, with IVs and vitamins and other things. So her side effects, things that's been going and growing and it's been so intense. It's always the pain. It's always the tiredness. It's always I can't get out of bed, or it's the hip pain. It's the pelvic pain. It's now lately pelvic bleeding once in a while. It's the fluid now they find behind the vaginal wall, which can happen in young girls. Don't get me wrong, but this is somebody who's never had this before. She's had skull pain.
So she was healthy.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
She was.
none of these.
What was her
issues
health
ever,
like before the
ever.
vaccines?
Before it, she had friends. She played. She ran around. She played in sports. She played on trampolines. She did gymnastics. She'd ride horses. I've had her on a horse since she's 2. She don't want nothing to do with the horse today. Her sister still rides. You know, she's in art. She put herself in ROTC this year, and she's trying to make the effort. But even in ROTC, she can't complete. And the teacher didn't understand until I had to talk to the teacher a bit. Now he gets it. You know, with the instructor. But even with the school and the principal, because they were like, putting her head down. She's fatigued. And she don't understand. This is what's going on, and this is my battle. This is a very real scenario with real side effects that this kid has. Now, if your parents aren't speaking up, or these kids that are reacting in school, they need to be.
Right.
And this is part of the issue, because a lot of parents are afraid, to come forward.
Right.
And so forth, because they're afraid about what their children's going to look like, or what is the school going to say, or I got to run into all these problems with teachers. I will say I will never want to be a teacher. I don't know how they do their job. It's a tough job.
Very difficult.
And I don't know how they do the grading and keeping on top of 25 to 30 plus students in a room. But my child's got a situation. They know of this situation. You got to comply. And and it's hard, but everybody's got a place and time, what they do, where they fit. These teachers and different programs for these teachers and assistants with these teachers are there. So this is what we've been going with Julia now. It's like there isn't a day that goes by that there's not a symptom. There isn't a day that goes by she doesn't have pain. There isn't a day that goes by that she's not fatigued. There's 1 minute she's got the energy, next minute she's like, I'm like, you just walked out of this room.
And clearly you're a chiropractor, and you are very knowledgeable about detoxification, functional medicine, nutritional supplements.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're doing everything that you know of to detox her, to support her gut, to support it.
Here's the thing that Nancy stepped on. Nancy, we went to get medical records on Julia. And one of the things, looking through the medical records, Nancy noticed the one thing about her blood is that when she was with her mom and we first got her and we were testing her, her blood was like, what? 5.8, 6 point something, very acidic.
She was very acidic.
Where her recent blood now we see is like 7.8.
She's
good.
So just in changing her foods and her diet and the organics that have been brought into her life, the healthy food products that have been given to her, her blood is making this change.
That's good.
And you can see it in her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's put on the proper weight. She looks better. Her hair is better. Her skin is better. She's made unbelievable changes in the past 3 years. We notice now that they've tested her. We've had her tested, and now they're claiming that she's bipolar. My daughter was never bipolar, and now she's claiming because all these tests and things that she's taking. She didn't have any of this before the Gardasil.
Right.
She didn't have any of the fatigue. She didn't have any of the pain. She didn't have the bone pain. She didn't have the skull pain. She didn't have the muscle fatigue or muscle pain, thigh pain.
Right.
All this pain. And now just the other night, which really freaked us out, and it's gone because I gave her some Argentine silver to take. All of a sudden, she came out with these marks on her belly, and she told me to look in her mouth. It looked like a Christmas tree in there.
Wow.
All these different specks spotted all over. The inside of her cheeks were ripped and raw, and in her throat was all these red dots. So I'm like, Julianne, like, what did you eat today and where? She goes, Dad, I've been in school all day, and I eat salad and whatever, because she's trying to change. Well, I gave her the Argentine. I made her pop some high-dose vitamin C, and I made her take some vitamin D. I gave her the Argentine silver, which, the Argentine 23 is phenomenal, silver. And I made a goggle. Nance told her to rinse her mouth with that. Don't swallow it, spit it out. I gave her a homeopathic antibiotic liquid that I have, that I keep all this stuff in my home. 2 days later, it's like gone.
Yep.
So,
So where's the mother at now? What's... Does she know?
Nothing to do with it. She wants nothing to do with it.
Does she recognize
She's denying it all.
So she does not acknowledge that the vaccines injured her daughter, that her daughter was healthy before, that she took her and got her vaccinated now. Her health is in the toilet.
She hasn't admitted yet about the vaccines, which is coming, but when you get into talking about it, is why I believe she hasn't injected my 12-year-old yet.
Okay. So she still has the custody of the 12-year-old, or she had her...
They split these girls out of nowhere, which is horrible. I've been fighting to get her back ever since. And
but you think she may have...
She is not given to the younger because I check her medical record. So my question is, well, why did you give it to one and not the other? Because she knows I'm barking about this now.
Well, because she was older at the time, and maybe the younger one was too young, and didn't make sense to have it done then.
Right. Well, my concern is, why has she done it? Well, not that she hasn't done it, but my concern is why one and not the other, where the other one now is now 12.
Well, she's at the age where they're about to hit her with it.
So I think
hopefully
what it is,
she's
and she
learned.
hasn't so far, right, is that she knows because I'm complaining about Julia now, and she's in denial about it all.
Right.
Side effects and nothing's wrong, and I'm like, you can say whatever you want. I live with this child. I see what we go through.
Right.
I see what my child goes through every day.
Actually, she tried blaming us.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
a whole nother story we
It
won't
was-
get into.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
so the
awesome.
bottom line is this: you have one daughter that's been injured by the Gardasil
Gardasil.
vaccine. You have another daughter that's actually in harm's way because she is with the parent that
Temporary
vaccinated.
order, yeah.
And you really are an example for people, like what you need to do, why it's so important for people to have these decisions written out on paper, notarized when everybody's on good terms. Like,
You know, somebody, and you bring a point there because you know what? Even if it's on the worst of terms,
Yep.
and you folks out there that are watching this, you know what I'm about to say.
you need to be
okay?
able to agree.
You need to stop. You need to put that pride aside.
Yep.
Because you know what? It's not about you. It's not about him. It's not about her. It's about that child.
Right.
Even me, I'm the biggest fighter. I stand tall for my right. I stand tall for what I want. I stand tall for what I believe in. Anybody that knows me from my videos, knows me in my practice or whatever. I fight for the guy, for the negative. I fight for the stronger. I fight for the weak. You know, it is what it is. At the bottom line, when you come into custody issues, when it comes to these kids, these vaccines are real. And they affect these children in a very negative way. When something, God forbid, happens to you, and I say it all the time in my videos, it's never important until it's you. Don't wait for that. Don't
Yep.
do that. Don't
Yep.
do it because, listen, I think my girls are the smartest. I think they're the bravest. I think they're the most beautifulest. I think they're the greatest kids in the world. But they're no different than yours or anybody else's out there. And
Yeah.
the bottom line is, when you go to see a pediatrician who has the magic wand with that needle to do what they want when they want, because they're backed by laws from the late 1970s to the early 80s and protects them about being sued, they don't care.
No.
They don't care. And I won't get into that whole thing.
They don't
because
have to- they don't
that's a
have
whole
anything
nother
to lose.
profitable thing. It's a money earning thing. From newborns to 2 years old, the kickbacks they get from these companies and Blue Cross. I won't get into this. But the message I want to bring across is that you got to come to Jesus with yourself
Yep.
and learn how to put that aside, to try your best to have a civil conversation with that ex-spouse to talk about that child, because these things are real. You both should be on the same page to understand. You should be able to ask your pediatrician what's in it, what the side effects are. Well, Lord have mercy, it's in the pamphlet.
Yeah.
You would think, Del Bigtree really brings out a great point, and it really struck home with me because I'm that kind of laid-back kind of guy. And the simple analogy that he gave was that if I go to my auto mechanic and before he fixes my car, he writes it out on a bill and he calls me, Scott, I found what was wrong with the car, and this is what I'm about to do. Boom, 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 boom. He gives me the list. He tells me how much, what they are, what it is, what the cause was,
Yep.
and what the new part is going to be
Yep.
like, and how I'm going to do this job. He knows every inch. To go into my baker down the block who bakes the cakes for my daughter on their birthdays. I want to know what's in it, how you made, how long is it going to take, and they can tell me everything
Yep.
with no problem.
Yep.
How is it that when you go and see your pediatrician, that for 10 years of school, they can't tell you what a side effect is or tell you how it's made?
Or what the ingredients are
To
in
me,
it.
that's an insult. To
Yep.
me, that's malpractice, that they're able just to shoot your children up that way. And with no explanation, just say go. And when side effects come around, and they will tell you, if anything goes wrong, come back. Well, you go back, you tell them, they don't want to know
Oh,
from
that's
it.
normal.
Oh, that can't be from that.
Yeah. Seizures after the vaccine,
Seizures,
that's normal.
High-pitched screaming, discoloration
Kid
of
won't
the
look at
skin,
you anymore.
pain, all that is
Oh,
not.
my
And
goodness.
parents should know these side
Yep.
effects to then go back, make sure they report it to VEERS, and so forth.
Yep.
Well, talking about parents, you guys just got to be on the same page to understand what you're about to do. You got a perfectly normal, pinky, beautiful new baby, and I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're Indian, you're Asian, you're Buddha, whatever you are. You have this baby that you two created that is beautiful, fresh, and clean. If mom and dad are good, and you've been tested, there's no syphilis, there's no gonorrhea, there's no this, there's no that going on. My baby is tested, that baby is fine. I don't want to hear about a hepatitis B shot being given to my newborn
Oh, my
who's not
gosh.
having sex with the next crib over or sharing a drug needle.
I don't know why
It's
they
not
do that
happening.
on day one.
But
Day one, Hep B
they've
shot.
admitted why.
Yeah.
They've admitted why, because they can.
Well, right,
Because they
and that's
can.
not an
Disgusting.
answer. So here's a Gardasil shot now. It's not at the moment a mandatory shot. It was in Texas when it first came out, and I let everybody know that was coming that way. And sure enough, it happened that way in Texas. I think anywhere from 6 to 8 months later, they were all screaming the dangers that were going on. That order was reversed. And even the MDs came forward. There was a lot of MDs came forward. This is not a good drug. It's not a safe drug. Gardasil is not mandatory at the moment. So, don't go running to take the shot. It doesn't prevent HPV. There's only so many strands in it when there's hundreds of strands that are outside, and then under a 2-year period, most of that goes away on its own. There are so many people that have HPV don't even know they have it.
Right.
And then it goes away. You know what? You can do high-dose vitamin D, you can do vitamin C, you can take minerals and a little more cleanliness and this and that and essential oils, and you can get rid of this. To give these kids these shots that are maiming these children
Okay, Betty. Okay, Betty.
Scarecrow
is,
troll.
You
is
got the
getting out
scarecrow
of
troll.
hand.
Come here, buddy.
It's really getting out of
right
hand.
Hey, why don't you go over here?
Hang out with us.
Come over there with
You wanna
Dr.
come
Scott.
hang here? You want to say hi
Did,
to everybody?
did Dr.
Hi,
Scott give?
everybody.
Want to say, hey, I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to adjust you today. Did you
That
like
was
that
pretty
adjustment
awesome.
today?
Did you like that adjustment?
That was cool. You dug it? I think he dug it.
He did. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's
Sure.
getting late. It's getting cold. I know Nancy said she was chilly. He's hit his limit, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you're coming to Next Steps to Health Freedom, Dr. Scott is one of the speakers on the panel. Should you fire your pediatrician?
And we'll tell you what we did with that with Julia and how
Yeah.
they tried to get rid of me when I told them they were fired.
And then go to
yeah.
vaxedatlanta.com. You'll find him on the speakers list with his website listed
Yes.
on there, so you can check him out and follow him and kind of get to know him.
DrScottPerlman.com.
And if you're down here in Georgia, you can come and see Dr. Scott. He's great. He did a great job adjusting me and my son today. And I'll be back.
And the
I'll be back
and
with
the
more.
event's on November 11th.
The event is November 11th. I've been hammering that into you guys for like
Yes,
a few
11,
months. Yes,
11,
November
11.
11/11, Vaxxed Atlanta. Dr. Scott will be there and a lot of other really great speakers. And I will be back with more Vaxxed interviews from Atlanta, from Georgia. So hit me up if you want to tell your story and you're in the Atlanta, Georgia, or the Southeast. Okay, I'll be taking over for.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Yep. Me and Nancy, we like to say goodbye and thank everybody for taking the time for watching us and hearing the story. My story is like many out there, and there are a lot out there that are worse than mine. And both from myself and Nancy here, we pray. Trying not to get too upset about it because I hate it. I hate this vaccine with a passion. This one vaccine, I don't like them all, but this one is really hurting all these kids. So I wish and pray for you and your families for making better decisions, for being able to make a sound decision. I wish you all much love and peace and happiness and health. And I wish your children, for those of you that have been affected by this shot, may God continue to bless you and hover over your families with much love and open arms from both myself and Nancy, Fancy Nancy here. So
All
thank
right,
you very
you
much
guys.
and God bless you all.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Take care.